And welcome back to more of Gex, where after a while it's time to take on the justifiably named pain in the asteroids. And with this level, it's the second space level of course, and there are a few different ways you can go, but the stage is actually a lot shorter than I make it out to be.
I knew Roswell would open up a casino.
And one of the big reasons for that is just me screwing up a lot in this part, and, well, you'll be seeing a lot of it. Let's see, first it starts out pretty basic with just having to use a lot of switches, and that is one other theme in this level, is where you do have to use switches in order to build bridges. And then of course those stupid things come back. But either way, unfortunately I did have to take a hiatus from this game just because of technical problems, but fortunately those are all fixed now. And also part of that was just me kind of getting frustrated with the whole thing happening. I mean, unfortunately that happens, but I mean, at least I'm glad I'm back to recording this game. Let's see, one of the missions... Oh yeah, one of the other problems I had with this stage was I couldn't really decide on what mission I wanted to do first. And I think in this part I end up getting caught between, Man, that's a terrible place to get an extra life, but oh well. And I ended up getting caught between, I think it was mission 3 with 5 crystal power cells, and I think it was getting to the warp tube. Because if you go up here, it's actually the way to get to the warp tube.
Gecko,
And then of course I'm also getting hit by stuff I can't see, and that does bite me in the ass later on. And as you can probably tell, this is post-commentary because, well, with the way this recording session went, if I ended up doing this live, I would have driven myself nuts.
calling any red shirt.
But either way, I am doing the rest of the game live, so hopefully this doesn't become a recurring thing. Also in here, this is where you find the hidden silver remote, and also there are 2 more power cells there. Which I don't really understand the design choice, but then again, that's just their call. And also, I did see a Gex retrospective a few days ago, and I mean, I do agree with most of the points that he made, even though I'm not really familiar with the whoever did the voice of Gex in the English version. But then again, I mean, it's just interesting to see their perspectives and how they enjoyed it. Let's see, here you can just find some more collectibles, which is always good. Especially because I ended up dying about like 5 or 6 times on this level. A few of them were edited out, but I think I kept in like most of them. Let's see, with this part, this is actually where you go to finish the power cells mission.
Daddy wants air.
Because all you have to do is just go up there and then get the last one, but it turns out I missed the 5th one. And the 5th one you had to go down on the elevator. And unfortunately this is one stage I didn't really practice a whole lot because, I mean, when I did practice it, I would end up dying like maybe 4 or 5 times and then just get frustrated and stop. And I mean, unfortunately that does happen a lot, especially with how tricky these jumps are, and also I think just knowing the layout of the level, I think that was my biggest problem. But this is actually where you need to go to finish the warp tube mission. And also, even when I was little, I mean, this level gave me all kinds of fits. In fact, before doing this Let's Play, this was actually the one level I dreaded the most. And, well, you guys will see why when this whole thing happens. Let's see, fortunately they do give you plenty of air bubbles to work with and plenty of air tubes to work with. It's just pretty much everything else that's going to be a problem. And also, I should probably mention that I did end up brightening the, brightening up the video. And there I go. So yeah, that just happened. And then Let's see, here I end up trying to take the downward path, and this actually ends up going a little bit worse than the other one. But I mean, the good news is, thanks to dying so many times, I was able to get the reward silver remote pretty easily. And that was fun while it lasted. Yeah, unfortunately, the robots are just put in the worst, or in much more awkward positions. And see, this is just one of the many uses of the switches. And I don't really know if it was just me sucking at this game or just the level being difficult, but I mean, I just had a lot of problems with the jumps in this level. And no need for me to die here. But then again, I mean, there's a chance I might have been out of practice, but I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes. And for this part, you have to flip the switch and then wait for these platforms to show up. And then, of course, that's the same thing as before. I mean, the good news is the ice power-up does let you deal with these things a little bit quicker. And as I've said before, they do remind me of the Daleks from Doctor Who, but I don't know, it's kind of a mix of other robots. And then, yeah, that's death number 2 for me. And let's see, here I'm trying the which one? The warp tube one again. And then I actually end up getting a little bit further this time. And yeah, good thing that bubble was there, otherwise I kind of would have been in trouble. Yeah, see, this is the part that gives me all kinds of fits, just because, I mean, there are a lot more tricky jumps, and yeah, see, that goes on for a while. And unfortunately, that's kind of the recurring theme of this part, which is me failing at jumping. I mean, after this part finished, I actually already knew the name I was gonna, or what I was gonna name this part. Which, I mean, you know, hopefully it is. I mean, hopefully people are still paying attention to this series, so I mean, it is something I am looking forward to uploading again. I don't know if that was more luck than skill or what. Let's see, for this part at least the camera's automatic, so at least you don't really have to worry about moving the camera in accordance to your jumps, but you do have to worry about getting there in a reasonable pace, otherwise you do end up dying from no oxygen. And yeah, that happened about 4 or 5 times, which was me getting to this point, and then falling off, and then having to do it over again. And I pretty much had to pause for like 2 minutes and collect my thoughts, just because I was about to kick something. And fortunately, after all was said and done, this took me about 20 minutes to finish this level. But we did get the warp tube, or did finish this one. And that was actually the second mission. It actually took me a while to figure out where to go for the first one. And see, I think for this part, I do end up going for the crystal power cells again, just because I knew where they were.
Keep the dribbles. I just want the quadro criticale.
But either way, these, I mean, the level, of course, starts off the same. You just have to, make your way across, and then just get to the elevator for the first one, and then after that you have to let's see, go back up and then just find the power cells there. And I mean, in hindsight, that might have actually been the easiest mission of this level. I mean, just because it's pretty obvious to tell where they are, and it's also pretty obvious to tell where they're, or it's actually a lot shorter compared to the other two.
Lolly, lolly, lolly,
Then again, in hindsight, I should have probably sped this part up, but it will. I mean, I already have one effect used on the brightness, so I don't know if this thing could have handled two, but then again, it probably could have. But yeah, like I was saying, the second one is actually going to be down here. And then you just had to go over to the right. And then that'll be the easy 2. And since you're on the elevator and the oxygen doesn't regenerate, you actually do have to use that. And then unfortunately past me still doesn't know how the level goes. So I mean, that's just kind of the things that happen when you're recording, and also that's just what happens when you're, or it's been a while between parts. I mean, at least I've gotten pretty good at bouncing off of aliens' heads. So then really all we're doing here is anyway, after that's done with, I think I decided to just finish off mission 1 or mission 3, and then realizing that realizing I was going the wrong way. So I mean that screwing up that jump might have actually helped me out. But unfortunately, this is one of the other things that really annoys me about this stage, is the fact that there are no checkpoint TVs. And like I've said before in some of the races I've done with Ritz Blues Gaming and some of those guys, I think one of the things that might annoy me the most about certain games is really long levels that have no checkpoint, and then you end up dying at the end and having to do the whole thing over again. I mean, marathon levels as a whole kind of annoy me, but then again, marathon levels with no checkpoints also do too.
Someone yelled cut.
And then of course we got to just make our way back here. And I was being pretty conservative about just with oxygen. Of course I do the whole thing again. And then just fortunately decided to take care of it that way. I mean, the good news is you can actually use these towers to hide behind the shots. And fortunately, there's that checkpoint TV. Or not checkpoint, but that health. Let's see, so far I have recorded up to the last level. Or not up to the last level, I actually got a few more bonus levels to do. But I mean, hopefully I'll get those done with pretty soon. I mean, I actually did finish the bonus stage special video. I mean, I'm probably thinking I'm just going to speed them up and then just finish them off that way. I'm not really sure if I'm deciding to play music over it or not, but I don't know, probably not. But anyway, after you get the 5 crystal cells, really all you have to do is just make your way across here. And then of course there's one more set of jumps to make, which can kind of be annoying, seeing as how they're actually really difficult to see.
It's tail time.
Alright, well fortunately we took care of that. But then the good news about collecting this remote is that the final boss in the game is now open for business. And that is going to be Channel Z. It's actually funny because in all 3 Gex games, the final level of the game is called Channel Z. Which, I mean, it works for the first and second game. Which, I actually do like that third game because it kind of happens in space. And let's just go ahead and jump cut to, or let's say just jump cut to collecting the remote from the first mission. Which, I mean, like I said before, all you're doing is just trying to go down here. And it is kind of tricky with the exploration of this level, just because it's I mean, in hindsight, when you're talking about it, it's actually kind of a smaller level than I make it out to be, but I think the biggest problem, like I've had before with, or like I said before, with just not knowing where the entire level layout. And I mean, if you did end up, Or if I did end up knowing that, probably would have been a lot easier, but oh well, what are you gonna do? Unfortunately, that's why things like the Let's Play curse exist. Or also probably because you're trying to focus on talking odd stuff and sometimes you just end up screwing up the easiest stuff. And fortunately that fireball actually ended up propelling me over. Although one of my favorite things is that in the tube with the air you can actually hide from the robot shots again. So I mean that's just one thing that does make it a little bit easier. And the unfortunate thing with this is that after a while the platforms go away. So I mean this is something where you do have to move quickly in order to make it across. Of course it doesn't help with how the camera is situated in this part. I think that's probably the biggest problem I had with this stage was the camera, but then again I think that's kind of been a recurring theme in this game. And in hindsight, this is actually a pretty short mission, but I do also spend about a minute just stuck on figuring out where to go here. And that's because I didn't see the, that gray part with, yeah, see, first I'm thinking to go over there, but then I didn't see that gray part that you're supposed to stick to. And then I think at around this time I figure it out. Nope, still a few seconds off. Yeah, I was definitely way off here. But then again, since that's hopefully the end of this train wreck pretty soon, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And then there's just a little bit more to go here. And by that, of course, we mean making jumps across these purple things again. And then, yeah, with that said, I do like how they, illuminate the platforms just so you know what to jump on. I mean, that really would have sucked if the platforms were dark and you end up falling because you couldn't see where they were. And that is finally the end of this train wreck of a level, so... with that said, I will see you next time for... one of the first and only Resopolis levels. I'll see you then.